Hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the PHNX Rising Show, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe wherever you get your podcast. And also, don't forget to leave a 5-star review. My name is Ramon Chavez, and I am joined by my partner, Owain Evans. How you doing, sir?
I'm back in Arizona.
That's good,
Yeah.
man. You went a little trip around the nation's capital. Did I see that on Twitter?
Yeah, got a little bit cancelled on Sunday night coming back the flight. Stuck in Virginia, but hey, I'm back now. That's what's
I'm
important.
glad to have you back. I know it's always crazy traveling, especially at this time of the year. For some reason, a lot of flights are getting canceled. Never a good thing. But Owen, we have a big show today. Lots to talk about. Obviously, not the result we wanted this weekend. Rising fell to Loudoun at Loudoun by the score of 4-3. We were also able to actually put up a poll on our Twitter account, PHNX__Rising, and we will get you the results and some comments, some very interesting comments that we got from our followers there as well. So we'll talk about that. Some updates from today's press conference. Some of the boys and Rick Schantz had the opportunity to speak to the media, and Owen, you were able to get some clips, so we'll talk about those a little bit later. And then we just keep going. We're going to review the USL weekend action. And then also it's US Open Cup time. So it's the quarterfinals. So we'll talk about that a little bit just because, we got our hearts broken a few weeks ago with that as well. So, Owen, let's just get started. Let's talk about what happened on Saturday. You were there. Now that it's been a few days, how are you feeling? What do you think about the game? And what's your overall mood right now?
Can I give you one word?
Let's do it.
Loudoun. I don't think it really needs to be more than that, does it? Look, this is a team that had scored 11 goals going into that game.
Yep.
And they somehow get 4 against Rising. It's just not good enough, is it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just incredible just watching it because I remember I'm I have my setup here. I have my TV right there. And, Quinn scored and I'm like, cool, this is going to be a game where we're going to have fun. It's going to be a fun game. I even tweeted, Quinn gets us on the board early. Yay. And then Loudoun get on the board, and I'm just like, okay, let's all relax. Let's get back into the flow of the game. And then you tweeted something about the next goal that Loudoun in, and I'm like, it can't possibly happen again. And boom, the next goal just happens minutes later. And it was just like the house just basically fell down. Everybody was just kind of throwing up their shoulders, their hands up, and it was like really sad to see, honestly, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 goals in quick succession really just kind of took a lot of the wind out of the sails of it. Didn't really leave you feeling there was any chance for comeback. You go one goal down and you always think, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
doable.
Yeah.
Because much the same as a lot of those teams score on the odd goal that they somehow, manage to sneak in, even if it's against the run of play. You can do the exact same going the other way around. It only takes a little bit of luck. But to concede 2, then suddenly it's okay. This is a real uphill battle from here.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the way they've been playing lately, I fear that when you go in that kind of a position and you're trailing by a couple of goals, I just don't think they've got the confidence at the moment to make that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was rough to watch, and we saw the comeback like the last 10 minutes of the game, and that's actually the part where I got really upset because we've seen this movie before. We've seen them go down in games where we're like, what is going on? This isn't the Rising we know, all this stuff. And then, comes the 80th minute, and for some reason they're able to turn it on maybe a few more, decibels, let's say, than the usual just tempo that they're doing. So like that's what upset me the most, because it's like, guys, if you do this maybe a few minutes before this, you wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't be talking about this, and you wouldn't be 11th in the Western Conference right now. That's the difference right there.
It's just too little too late, and we've seen that too many times. It really makes you wonder what exactly is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't expect to go into these games and kind of, coast around a little bit at times and then the other team score a couple of goals and it's fine because you'll just come back late. Oh, no,
Mm-hmm.
no, you don't. Especially not when you're losing by 3 goals going into the
Yeah.
90th minute.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah, even against a team that's historically as bad as Loudoun has been, you can't do that. It's not that this isn't a league where you can coast by like that, especially with the way Rising is playing. I was able to read a very interesting note. John Morrissey from USL Tactics, he had a great piece about Phoenix Rising come out either today or yesterday. I don't remember, but basically he's talking about how the lack of production from the forwards, and he highlighted Santi Moore especially, is really hurting Rising. You know, he talks about the defensive mistakes and how they've been one of the key issues for Rising, but he highlights Santi Moore, who's supposed to kind of take the mantle of kind of like the creative force and the offensive force after Solomon Asante was not brought back, as well as John Vaquero left. So it kind of highlighted really well, if you really wanted to get down to the nitty gritty of it, of what's going on this season, is the offensive output isn't there from the forward that's supposed to bring the goals, and the defense is really, really bad. So that's just a recipe for disaster.
But the defending has always been kind of susceptible to those kind of errors, right? That's nothing new.
Yeah.
It's just that Rising would score 4 or 5 goals up at the other end, and then you don't really have to care. The fact you concede 1 or 2 is an irrelevance at that point, but they're not doing it right now. It isn't clicking. The wings in particular have been a real point of struggle. Santi just hasn't hit form at all this season. Marcus Epps hasn't hit form at all this season. That's why he's watching from the bench right now a lot of the time. Joey Calistri, when he started on the wing, didn't have a great game, couldn't finish. And it's just not really support. I mean, Babukar Jai came in on the wing in the last game, and I didn't think he was bad, but the finishing wasn't there. And so, again, it's like we're just going back to the same old problems, which is, if you're not creating goals from the wings, where are you now creating goals from? I know that Rick said that he actually thought they looked better with 2 up top in the game on Saturday than they have without 2 up top. So
he had really good chances, you know. If it's just, you just got to make at least one, you know, especially when you're that open. Some more stats here from the John Morrissey article. Phoenix has allowed 2.07 goals per 90 this year, nearly doubling 2021's rate of 1.09 a game. So when you're giving up another goal and you're not scoring at all, definitely going to see those L's in the season. So and then just to finish off here, he says that they just can't, you know, Moore and Epps, Marcus Epps, simply can't keep scoring at such an incredible low rate. The side as a whole has converted just 10% of their shots, well below the league average of near 15%. So that just tells you the whole story right there, and basically what has to improve. Today, Owain, you were able to speak to Rick in the press conference, and he had a message for the locker room after this loss, and you know, you were able to get the video of that. So let's go ahead and see what he had to say.
A lot of things. Most importantly is create the winning culture again. You have to really focus on the small moments, the small victories. Confidence is a funny thing, you know. Momentum is a funny thing, and the team right now is lacking both. We got an early goal, and everyone felt good, but then I think the confidence got to us a bit, and we started to change what was the game plan, and it hurt us. We got exposed in the middle of the field because of the lack of numbers, but then you see, you know, one mistake leads to another, and next thing you know, they're probably thinking in their minds, oh my gosh, it's going to happen again. So the first 20 minutes, I think, cool heads, calm, good game plan, good execution, good quality, and we're winning 1-0. The last 10 or 15 minutes, it's desperation, and they played like the hair's on fire. So I think the solution is somewhere between there. And what I've told them is that we have to start focusing and training on every action being good. No more cut out the mistakes in training, cut out the bad passes, cut out dribbling. Best way to do that is big numbers, small spaces, more actions in training, but more intensity. So from a psychological standpoint, I think I explained to the guys today that fear is, you know, our body has reactions to fear, and psychologically there are, you know, 4 typical reactions. It's, you know, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. In sports, it's just 2. You either step up to the fear and you stand up to what you're afraid of, and you stay calm, cool, and collected, and you achieve, or you run from it And, there are some athletes may not play. Some athletes may do the minimum to hide or to not expose themselves. And right now I asked him, I said, I'm sure there's fear. I have fear. But I told him they need to stay focused on the team. They need to stay focused on playing as a unit. And the best way to do that, again, is to limit the touches in training. They have to move for one another. They have to work for one another. You cannot be selfish in a moment like this. You have to give, and you have to give everything to the team. And then we need some luck. This has been a bad run that has had just as much bad luck and injury as anything. So you couple that with some poor quality, and that's where we're at. But time to just start getting wins.
So obviously I was there to hear that today. Ramon, you were not. So you're hearing that for the first time there. What do you think then? What's your first reaction to hearing that from Rick?
I mean, Pat has a really good comment here. And I think, yes, it does sound like a repeat of the last interviews for the last 6 weeks. I mean, but what else can you tell a team like that? You're going through a rough stretch, or you're doing everything you can in practice. And I think he kind of has a really good point. Rick Schantz has that it may be psychological at this point, that you're so, deep down the well that you might kind of start freezing up in these moments where typically, given the history of the players in this team, they would perform really well. So it's just about getting that confidence back. And that's what kind of, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but it's half of me, it's like, I don't think this is really Rick Shantz's fault. Like, what else could he do, if the players are just not performing on the field? So, and yeah, I'll leave that till later on. But yeah, that's how I felt about his statement.
You're leaving that one till later on then, because we are going to discuss that in a bit more detail. I just feel as though, and it's very same-ish, and I know that it's hard because a lot of the performances have been very kind of same-ish. Let's be honest. They're just hitting that point now where it's getting disappointing, and it's hard as well, right? And I will say, in Rick's defense, it's hard for us sitting here talking about it to try and be like, okay, how do we kind of find something new to talk about in this, when often it does feel like it's the same errors time after time, or it's the same individual things that we could pick up on. And I mean, it's hard enough for us to get talking about this at times. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that one, Ramon.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's rough to see the play on the field, because we both know that they could do a lot better, and that's why there are frustrations from the fans and everybody else is coming from. You could see it on the chat right now, that it's like there's all these questions, and they're working as hard as I can, I'm assuming, but it's just tough to continue to talk about it, and it's disheartening because we know these guys can play a lot better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I guess just to my point there, which is, I've always said, I'm not a big fan of just kind of expecting it's fine, things will turn around. What we're seeing is not improvement week on week. And so I'm just really getting nervous almost here, to a point that how is this going to turn around, especially with a really tough run coming up? I don't quite know what they're going to be able to do to fix things at this point.
Yeah, no, I saw today it's the first day of summer, and then I'm like, well, July's coming up, and that means a really rough stretch for Rising. So they have to do well this upcoming game. We'll talk about this more on Thursday, but this is a critical moment in their season. I do want to shout out everybody in the chat right now: Pat, Michael, Bonnie. I always get to see you guys. We got Harry here, awesome. Phoenix Rising 112. Thank you so much, guys, for lighting up the chat. Always appreciate your comments here. Owain, if I could interject a little bit, because it's hard to not be cynical about this sort of stuff, right? And kind of look at the negative side. But I wanted to, like, when I was doing my research today, I was like, what's something that we can kind of talk about that's a little bit more positive? Because I know sometimes, like, we've been told that
positivity now.
I'm trying. It's like a needle in a
haystack.
haystack.
They've got 3 points out of 6 games, Ramon. Why are we being positive?
But I'm not being positive as far as like the team itself, but the situation. Let me explain. So the only silver lining that I could find in this situation is that, yes, Rising is in 11th place. They got 21 points. But the gap between 3rd place and 11th place in the Western Conference is only 4 points. And a lot of the teams ahead of Rising have played either 1 or a couple more games than they have this season. That's the silver lining that I found today. So let's say that they get a victory in Vegas, they perform well the week after. You're looking at them getting back into kind of like that playoff middle of the pack position. Now, if you would tell me that and say, hey, they're in 5th, 6th, 4th place, whatever, given what we've seen this season, I would be perfectly fine with that. So I know everybody in the chat, y'all can roast me, it's fine. But I'm trying to find a positive outlook because I just don't want to be negative the entire hour that we're here. So what do you think of what I just said?
I'm going to roast you. I'm going to roast you because I don't fundamentally believe at this moment, I do not believe Rising goes to Vegas and gets 3 points. Now, they might get 3 points at home to Orange County, but what happens then? They go away to Louisville and Memphis. They possibly get utterly smacked in both of those games.
Yep.
The way that they're playing at the moment, the way that those other teams have performed this season, I just fear that there's a real need for a turnaround right now. And looking ahead at the games that are coming up, that's not a momentum building run of games.
Yeah.
Because even if you win one of them, the likelihood is the next one is going to prove a real challenge. You just can't build momentum in that kind of an environment. And so, yes, there are games in hand and all of that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
That's all I'm saying, though. The gap is only 4 points.
But,
so it's
not if you keep playing like you have in the last
definitely
6 games.
I completely agree with that. Like I said, I'm just saying, if we look at the standings, we see how everybody else is performing. Rising is I don't want to say is okay because obviously they're not okay, but they're in a spot where they can make up what they've given up. So that's all I'm saying. I know everybody in the chat is not happy with what I said, but just keep that in mind moving forward. And again, hopefully they're able to get a result.
I like this comment here. I like this comment. So what you're saying is we have to wait longer to see us barely miss the playoff line. Thanks, Ramon. That's reassuring.
Come on, Durden. Come on. I got to find something good to talk about or positive at least. Okay, whatever. Enough of that. Owain, in the press conference today, you also got the chance to speak to some of the players, one of them being Santi Moore, and regarding his feelings of how Rick is doing and how the locker room is feeling. So let's go ahead and hear what Santi had to say.
Well, I think Rick is great in keeping the group together. Even at our worst moments, he's always trying to cheer everybody up, and we are. He's the one that says like we are all scared for our jobs and our if we don't win, probably we don't keep playing or we don't have a contract next year. Where like all these things happen in this sport, but he's the one that keeps everybody positive, and we are on board with him. I think we can turn this around, and we will.
All right, so that's a really good one to lead us on, I think, to our next segment. But before we do that, Ramon, I think people need a little infusion of some positivity here and maybe to chill a bit before we get into this next topic.
Yeah, just stop roasting me on the chat, everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I always appreciate the comments. But if you guys need to relax a little bit, I know it's been tough these past few weeks. You guys can definitely check out our friends at OG's Brands. OG's, they actually just launched their first ever limited edition seasonal flavor, perfect for summer, Pina Colada, a perfect pineapple and creamy coconut blend that's just in time for those summer road trips and pool parties. And speaking of pool parties, OG's and Owain is taking over Maya Dake. I'm just kidding. Not Owain.
I'm stuck in Vegas.
No, you're coming back the next day. You can make it. But anyway, OG's is going to be taking over Maya Day Club in Scottsdale this month on June 25th. Be sure to say what's up to us if you are able to make the event. Some of our PHNX crew will be there. I will try to be there. We'll see if I can make it. And then you guys can definitely check out OG's online at ogsbrands.com and on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can also find their product at your local dispensary. You must be 21 years or older to purchase. All right, Owain, what do we got coming up?
Well, I hear that if you go and take the OGs, then, it actually makes the games look better and you think they perform well.
A lot of OGs you're going to need. I mean, good, good for them, maybe good for us. I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So today we put the poll out just to see.
The controversial.
Because we've seen a lot of negativity on social media. We know that's, just it's a lot of negativity, but it's hard to judge sometimes what the genuine feeling is. Now, obviously caveating that this isn't a scientific poll, it's a Twitter poll, right?
This is what you got to go off of.
We are not statisticians in that sense to be out taking these polls. But let's have a look. What is the poll result from today on whether people think that Rising needs to move on from Rick or not? So here is the result. 44.1% of people say it's time for Rick to go. 27.9% saying that he should stay. And the remaining 27.9% saying that they aren't sure. So only just over 1 in 4 of the respondents to the poll today believe that Rick Schantz, that they would lend their support truly behind Rick Schantz at this point.
Given the outspoken manner that Rising fans have been on social media, I am surprised that it's below 50%. That's what my feeling is saying. I know it's 1 in 4 that you're saying that, but I'm very surprised about that. I don't know what everybody else in the chat. 56% have lost their minds.
I think the other thing to remember here, if you take out those who haven't expressed a preference either way, so you take out the unsures, you end up with about 61% of people say that it's time for Rick to leave. So I think what I take out of this is that you've got 2 really quite, sizable groups at least, both in favor of him staying and him leaving. And that's really going to cause some problems. Yeah. That's hard to get around, not least because you have to think about the fact that, ultimately at some point soon, the board are going to have to make a decision probably.
Yeah, no, it's like we said earlier, it's going to be a rough time in July, especially playing teams like Memphis and Louisville and stuff like that. So if it doesn't get better, I can definitely see it. But I can tell, I feel like I have like an angel and a devil like on my shoulders, like one saying, get rid of this guy, this isn't how Rising should be playing. And then on the other side, it's like, well, he's done so much, give him time. There's a lot of injuries. There's lack of form from some of the key players. It's not necessarily the fault. So I kind of in the unsure boat, but because it's like either way, I feel like both sides are justified, if that makes sense.
I feel like though, and this is where you really get into the problem, which is that the longer this carries on, the more entrenched people are going to get in their views. And I fear that we're going to end up in a situation soon whereby if they sack him, it's going to end negatively. If they don't sack him, stuff will end negatively. And you kind of have to wonder at some point in that you end up with almost one way out unless the results turn around, but they better turn around quickly, I think, to have any real chance of regaining support at all. We're talking of a lengthy win streak now looking forward. This isn't a stagger out of this run. This is you've got to come out sprinting. I just feel as though you're going to get to a point whereby almost the only thing you can do for the benefit of the club even is that you have to take seriously the question of whether Rick needs to ask himself whether he's doing well by the club by staying, and take ownership of that decision himself. And it's a tough one. It's hard to ask anyone ever really to go and quit their job because they're, causing problems. It's just difficult, isn't it?
I mean, we've seen it. I think if I'm correct, Tulsa just let go of their coach as well. If I'm getting this correct? And that's the thing. Like, so when you think about it, so if you let go of Rick, this in the middle of the season and the results don't come, right? They continue playing that the way that they are, then you can kind of say, well, it's the players, right? But if you let Rick kind of finish out the season, let's say it doesn't improve as well, then you let him go at the end of the season and then you kind of retool with players and find a new coach. What option is best at this time? Do you feel, and I think that's what kind of ownership and maybe supporters should ask themselves too, is like, do you feel like this squad that Rising has right now is championship material at the way that they've been playing this season? And is Rick the person that's kind of hindering that from them?
The way they've been playing this season, not a chance in hell.
Exactly.
Look,
so if you bring a new coach in the middle of the season, what are you expecting? Are you expecting a long playoff run, or are you expecting to just get to the playoffs? So what as a fan, and if I'm part of the ownership, what can we expect if we do bring in that new coach? Are we expecting like, hey, we're gonna go all the way to championship because that's what we wanted this season, or like how do you measure success if you do let go of Rick right now?
Well, it's tough, right? Because there's two
Mhm.
different ways to approach this, which is people will say that it's the end of the season. It's not. It's not necessarily the end of the season. Things can be turned around. Equally, though, you also have to couple that with a change in expectations, which is it doesn't rule things out if you
Mhm.
change the coach. However, you can't hold them to the same standard as a guy who's just completely, had the opportunity to overhaul a team, to fill them with their own guys. I mean, that's the point. Everyone here is a Rick Schantz guy, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah,
This is a team that is people that Rick wanted here, that he brought in,
it was built by him.
and
Yeah.
yeah, and there you are. You've got to expect playoffs, regardless who takes over. Bobby says the players can manage themselves next year, championship or bust. I tend to agree. I think
No.
ultimately, if you bring someone in,
Mhm.
and the goal has to be making the playoffs. And I think that's the minimum expectation. And quite frankly, the talent on the team is here to more than make the playoffs. But
Mhm.
I'd accept that a new manager coming in, you can't necessarily expect the world of them before they've been given the opportunity to kind of make the team in their own mark. But
Yeah.
playoffs would be the minimum. Equally,
Yeah, and I
though,
agree.
I just and that the fact that we're questioning here whether Rising will make the playoffs under Rick at the moment, that's a real problem.
Mhm. Yeah, no, and that's and I think that's basically you're summing up the situation right now. Like, what do you do? Do you let this ride out? Do you see if the change can spur, a change within the squad and the team? It's a tough decision, man. I'm glad we're on this side of the of things because it's not going to be easy. It's not fun at all. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something to watch for sure.
But then there's even more to it as well, which is that we're about to hit a time of the year that is really challenging for Rising to pull in crowds because it's the summer. It is hot out there, and it can be uncomfortable sitting at that stadium sometimes. You've got to
Oh,
give
one
people a
time.
reason to come out, right? And look, Dollar Bianat is not coming back. We know that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So what reasons are you giving them? Traditionally, it was we're going to put out a top team on the field that are going to go out and play a really exciting game
Mhm.
and, going to win. But I just, at this point,
Yeah.
what's inspiring people? Why would you go out and sit in 110-degree weather to go and watch the performances that Rising have been offering up at the moment?
There's no dollar beer. Ticket prices have gone up. It's hot. It's a long drive for some people. And the field the display on the field isn't great. That's 5 reasons right there why like you shouldn't go. But it's I don't know. I think that's just that's the state of the team right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, not good, but hopefully it can turn around.
You know
All right,
what?
Owen.
While we're on this, should we take
Oh
a
yeah,
look? Because obviously, with the Twitter poll, we did have people who expanded on
the
their
comments.
answers and gave us some
Let me look.
comments. So, Ramon, if you want to read these out as we go along.
Mm-mm-mm. All right. All right. So Tom here, he said, when Rick said today that management thinks he will get the job done, what in the heck is he talking about? The job is winning championships, not feeding an MLS team or crawling into a playoff spot and hoping for some miracle. The job is creating excitement for fans. Grade so far, Tom gives Rick an F. Wow, that's pretty good. It's tough. Injuries have plagued the squad this year like no other years have. Players don't look match ready, and the quality hasn't been there for the last few weeks. I hate to say it, but even the loanees haven't been the greatest pickups. We need a leader. That's from Taco Mish at Taco Mish. I don't disagree with that one either. And Johnny Mac, I think it is time to let Rick go. We are not getting better, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, we have had injuries. So has every team, but the players who are coming in, remember, this is the deepest roster we have ever had, are failing to deliver.
Well, there's some of these comments, and that one there, the deepest roster we ever had, of course, was a Rick comment. And sometimes these comments just seem to come back to haunt, don't they? I
That's
mean, it's like
backfiring big
it's
time.
like last year with we've been on vacation for 6 weeks. And then you get into the playoffs and drop out in the first round. It kind of comes back to bite you, but more comments to come.
Phoenix Rising 112 says, no, I don't believe it will be the magical fix people think it will be. To me, this is short-sighted thinking and ignores many of the other issues we're having this year. Yeah, I get it. The buck stops with Rick Schantz, but he's not the person who is actually responsible for getting the ball in the back of the net. Very good point. And the Thugs here, he says, look, I think Rick for giving us those great moments. 2020 finalist, 2019 regular season with that amazing unbeaten streak, but it seems his tactics and mentality are not working for this club anymore. Locker room is lost. Players look sluggish on the field. We need a change. Yeah.
One more to go.
One more here with BG487. It's really hard to say given other factors that are affecting the team, especially injuries. I think it started when San Diego beat us at home, which gave other teams the confidence to say if they can do it, we can as well. That said, chemistry is something a coach cultivates and hasn't. I think a lot of those comments kind of hit it on, the nail on the head, where it's like you could see it on the field that the chemistry isn't there as years pass. So it's you can kind of point fingers at the coach for that, but I think all of them have very, very, very valid points.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one, and I think that as we look to this, we got to as well bear in mind that for obvious reasons, you don't necessarily want to cheer for a guy to lose his job, especially at this level of the game where jobs aren't easy to come by. You don't fall down into a lower division because there's very little left. I think that said, that something really needs to change at this club, and ultimately, when it comes down to that, knowing this is a team that Rick ultimately has his fingerprints all over, and that isn't performing at the moment. The buck has to stop somewhere. It can't just be and the other thing to note on that as well, there's a lot of history there, yes, but this club didn't show any of that regard when Solomon Asante was let go at the end of last season. The guy won 2 MVP awards. No, so I'm being serious here now. Why do we afford one person that and not another?
Yeah.
I mean, can you really disagree with that? Because
you don't make a bad point. I completely agree with that. That why is it so easy to let go of a 2-time league MVP? And if we're talking about nostalgia and what's happened in the past, why don't we apply that to the head coach? And I understand that point of view as well. It's tough, man. Yeah, look at Thomas. Look at over here.
Look, I mean, sport is a business, right? And at the end of the day, it's not about what you've done in the past. It's about what you're doing now, what you're going to do in the future. And right now, the results are poor, and something desperately needs to change. And ultimately, you're looking to the coach to have the ideas and the answers to get out of that hole. And if they can't, then that's when you end up needing a new coach to come in. So it's a difficult one, but here's the thing I think we've really got to think about over these next few weeks. We have gotten ourselves into the position where every passing week, effectively now, you're going into a week whereby the answer is win or risk it happening this week. I think that's really what we're getting, because the only way you can ever guarantee they probably aren't going to pull the trigger is when you win the game that week. Yeah. Anything else, any kind of drop points, you can't afford sluggish kind of start. So I don't know. It's getting into that point now, and I fear that with the amount of fans that have started to turn, we have already hit that kind of point of no return, with the one exception being a very lengthy winning streak. And that right now, I just can't see happening anytime soon.
Hey, you know what they say, winning solves everything. So, all right, Owain, let's go ahead and keep it going here. So we were able to get some updates from today's press conference as well. There were maybe an injury or two at the Loudoun game. So were you able to get an answer on that?
Yeah, so it actually first came up talking a bit about Babu on the wing. So this is all rolled into one. So just enjoy the update on the injuries.
you speak a little bit about Babacar Jai on the left-hand side, just a little bit higher up the pitch?
Yeah, I thought he was very dangerous. You know, he was one of the few players in that game that throughout the whole game played with a lot of energy and showed a lot of danger. The end product wasn't as good as we would like, but he was dangerous, and I love the energy he plays with. Unfortunately, he took a little bit of a knock and aggravated again in training today, so we're hoping that he'll be okay.
Is there anyone else that is doubtful or that you can tell us about for Friday?
I don't know, the list is long. Kevin Lambert is recovering. You know, all the traveling that Kev was going through, he had a non-COVID related illness that stopped him from starting the game, and he went in and then after the game was not feeling well at all. And you know, that's kind of his character. He said, I'll do anything I can for the team. Fortunately, getting him back safely, he's doing better. He's on the mend. James Musa, I think, is, you know, again, it came down to fitness, but we can't wait any longer. I think Cozy had some cramping issues. That's really, right now, if I went through the whole roster, everyone's got something wrong with them, but I bet every team has that.
And you expecting Luis to be back for Friday?
No.
Good sneak of the question there. Oh man. So let's start at the beginning. So he says that there's a lengthy list of injuries right now, and you know, I mean, given the time of that we're at in the season, that's pretty much every team right now. But which one of these injuries concerns you the most?
I fear at the moment, and it's kind of a combination thing, because some of these guys are, you know, if you're missing one, it's fine, you can get another in. It's when you're missing multiple. Now, I do think that Luis, just as that older head, is needed, really, really desperately needed. His impact in the game, you just can't understate it. The problem is that then, of course, when you lose a guy like Kevin Lambert as well, and we don't know if he'll be available. Babacar may not be available. Koze may not be available. Arturo is out for a while still. Can
you afford to do that then? If like you're saying that so many players are out, especially midfield players, can you afford to say, well, Luis is just not going to play?
Yeah.
Like that to me is a really big issue at that point, because if now you're purposely saying, well, I have some issues with this player, you know, whatever situation's going on.
Before we go into that, I will say that officially he is listed on the injury report.
Okay. All right. Just making sure that that's clear, because like you're saying, if there were that many injuries and just because he just doesn't want to play or whatever reason, and if he's not on the field and they lose again, then at that point, that's pretty much the end of the line, at least on my end. So
I will say to Thomas's comment here about, do you think they'll be in the market for more players? The summer transfer window hasn't opened yet, but I don't believe Rick ruled it out today, is what he had to say.
Gotta bring those playmakers, man. I know Thomas was talking about it. The
other thing he said that's difficult on that, sorry, is that he's it's tough because the scouting budget isn't huge.
Fair. And then just to before the Loudoun game, I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but Lambert was supposed to start that game. Am I correct? And
yeah, he was. It was. I'm not sure if it was truly last minute. It was handed in before the squads went in, which is why he was able to go on the bench. The problem they had was effectively he was just fatigued. He wasn't feeling too great. He'd had a really long couple of weeks, to be fair, with Jamaica. So I understand that. But hey, it's tough. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Koza, yeah, not good that he's, getting cramps and stuff. I'm not sure if he's used to the heat already. Maybe that has something to do with it. Especially being in Phoenix, coming from Nashville. I know Quinn was, dealing with something. There was something that Rick said about Musa, which is he's still a little bit knocked up, but he has to play. Is that what I heard? Or
they're kind of just getting desperate for him to come back at the moment. The problem is that Musa is very fragile at the moment, that's tough. Yeah. It's tough to deal with. And look, I mean, the way that it was framed in that was probably, it sounds a bit harsh on Musa. I mean, he was injured, wasn't he? What's he supposed to do?
Yeah.
But I understand that there is a need for him to step up right now because at the end of the day, this team needs him. They will have Manuel Madrid back this weekend, which is another player back in the squad. He's suspended, of course, for the game in Loudoun, but I don't know. It's I mean, it feels almost like, as I know some of the comments in there where it's like, oh great, we already know what the excuse will be now if they drop points on Friday, which is that it's injuries. And whether justified or not, the problem is that this team, probably by shooting itself in the foot, let's be quite clear, in terms of not being clinical, not necessarily showing quite as much desire properly as they should.
Don't say that, right? Come on. We'll talk about that on Thursday for sure.
They've shot themselves in the foot along the line, so that now by the time you get around to this game and you'd say, well, to be fair, they've got injuries. It doesn't matter anymore. You need points.
Gotta get the results.
You know, these are excuses that you can get away with if you were doing well enough, but you haven't been. So what do you do from here?
We're going to find out. We're going to find out on Friday. And then, Thursday, just be on the lookout for our preview of the game against Las Vegas. And, Owain, guess what? You get to go to Las Vegas again. Have fun.
Oh, no. Don't remind me
I know you love it up there. Sin City, baby.
Oh.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break here before we talk about our next topic. I want to talk to you guys about DraftKings. If you guys haven't yet, make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. And when you use promo code PHNX, new customers can bet $5 on either NHL team that's in the Stanley Cup Finals right now. And if you bet for them to win for either team to win, you can get $100 in free bets no matter what. So that's promo code PHNX at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the Stanley Cup Finals. You do have to be 21 and over to gamble. Arizona only, new customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Restrictions apply, and you guys can check out the show notes for more details. Yeah, we'll see. Those I'm guilty of not watching the games, but thanks to our friends at the PHNX Coyotes, I try to keep up with the Stanley Cup Finals. That way we can have a little bit to talk about. But apparently the games have been super crazy, with Colorado winning one by a crazy amount of goals, and then Lightning winning as well. So it's crazy. Always a good time in the Stanley Cup Finals. Anytime there's like an NBA playoffs or finals and all that stuff, you wanna throw in some bets in there, get some money. So make sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. All right, Owain. Let's wrap up here. Which one do you want to talk about? U.S. Open Cup or talk about the USL action?
Should we talk about the Open Cup first? Let's talk about the Open Cup.
Let's do it. All right. So the U.S. Open Cup quarterfinals kick off today. The first game will be LA Galaxy versus Sacramento Republic, who themselves are coming off a victory last weekend. That one should be interesting. Sacramento sat down a lot of their players, so their key players on this weekend, and they actually got a result. So they're going for the cup. We'll see if they can get that result against Galaxy.
We'll see, won't we? Speaking of DraftKings, they're not particularly favoring them at the moment. Plus 425 on Sacramento for tonight. So I mean, I don't know.
Like $5. I don't know.
You never know in these Open Cup games, do you?
Exactly.
Because you never know what kind of team the other side's going to put out.
Yeah. Galaxy did not look great this weekend either. So I'm just saying, put some money on that. We'll see. The other games are New York, the Red Bulls, not the baby Bulls, the big Bulls against New York City FC.
Bulls.
And then Sporting Kansas City versus Union Omaha. That's what I'm rooting for. I'm putting all my money on Union Omaha. Let's do it.
You're putting all your money on Union Omaha at plus 550. Let's go.
Let's do it, man. I'll put it. $5. Let's do it. I'll do it. I'll even screenshot it on Twitter for you.
Drinks on Ramon if he
hit.
If he hits.
And then the last one is Orlando City versus Nashville. I think that's kind of like the most boring one out of all of them, but that's just me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Predictions here, Owain?
Oh, I will take one of the two USL sides. I won't tell you which. One of the two will go through. We will have one lower division side in the semifinals of the Open Cup.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I just hope Galaxy and Sacramento have a really good game. We'll see. We'll see tonight. I think they kick off at 7:30. So right after the show, you guys can go watch it. We'll see what happens. All right, y'all. Let's talk about week 15 of USL action. A lot of interesting games here. I caught the Detroit versus El Paso game on ESPN, and that was really fun. I know we're not huge fans of Detroit here, but it was just fun to have them on ESPN first of all, and then just to see the crowd and just to have an early morning game. We don't have Premier League right now, so that's typically what I would watch Sunday mornings, but having that game on quite early fun.
Well, I gather that it actually managed in terms of viewership to outdraw an MLS game that was on ESPN2.
That's what I was just going to talk about. I have it right here. So
Yeah.
197,000 people tuned in to watch USL Championship action on ESPN on Sunday morning. That is pretty good.
It is good. It is good.
So yeah, we'll see. I hopefully they can schedule more games right there. And I think it's just the perfect time, especially now with like these European leagues that out of they're not playing right now. So it kind of just gives you something to watch in the morning as well. So super good, cool stuff. Any other results that you took a look at this weekend?
Tampa Bay Rowdies 1, Charleston Battery 1.
Oof. Look at that.
Now, Tampa had more opportunities, but just couldn't make it happen. And so Charleston, with their one shot on target, get an equalizer. So that's a bad result for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, no, for sure. The other one was Colorado at home against Indy 11. Colorado got the win 4-3. That was a fun game. I caught the highlights, and could that be a preview of the final maybe at the end of the year? We'll see. I don't know. It was just pretty fun. Other games, we talked about Detroit, Sacramento 2-0 over LA Galaxy, and then San Antonio tied with Oakland Roots at home.
Don't we get did we say RGV beating Pittsburgh in there?
I saw that. No, we didn't talk about that. That's great. Yeah, Pittsburgh, I feel. Is that 2 back-to-back losses?
They definitely, because they lost to Charleston, didn't they? So they're slowing down. They're slowing down, and I'm not sure quite what it is, but Bob Lilly's going to have to work that one out.
And then Louisville took care of their home turf, beating Orange County 3-1. So pretty good action. Do you want to talk about the midweek games? Because there was some interesting news coming out today about one of those games.
Yeah, so one of those games has been postponed, funnily enough. I wonder who could have postponed a game today.
They just find all sorts of dates in their calendar, apparently. I don't know.
Could it be certain New Mexico United? Maybe.
I see that.
The team that don't have any dates available to play, and yet managed to just pull out another date that Rising would have been available on.
They just keep
today.
Oh, here's another one. Just found one.
Yeah, it really raises questions, doesn't it? Because I mean, right, let's just be flat out here, right? Whether you like it or not, whether you think that and here's the thing, seriously now, whether you think that New Mexico should have had the right to reschedule it when they did or not, the thing that we've established now, flat out, is that they lied. Their comments at the time were that there were no other dates where that would have been possible. All of a sudden now, there's more dates that it would have been possible. Now, if you want to argue again that they had every right to do what they did, that's fine. That doesn't excuse them making stuff up and trying to make this case that, well, we didn't have any choice. No, you did. You made a choice.
Yeah, and it looks worse the more you continue to reschedule games.
Yeah.
This is the second one now. So, yeah, it's not there's just no way of winning that. The game was supposed to be RGV Toros visiting New Mexico United. That has been postponed, but the other game is Tulsa visiting Memphis 901 at their house. So we'll see.
I'm not looking past Memphis for that one. I'm really not.
Should be good. Should be a good game. All right. Well, anything else, Owen, you want to talk about? We 50 minutes. It's more than our usual shows.
We feel like we're hitting towards the end, but there's a couple of things we should hit, probably, isn't there?
Let's do it.
A couple of things. Do you want to talk about our new product once again?
We're talking about Four Peaks Brewing Company.
I was going to talk about the little scarf we've got here.
The scarves, yeah. So if you guys haven't yet, make sure to support us here at PHNX Rising by going to phnxlocker.com and purchasing your very own PHNX Rising scarves. Summer weight supporter scarves are now available. You guys can also purchase that shirt as well. You guys can have your own very PHNX shirt as well, but make sure to do the scarves. They're great, man. I know it's pretty hot right now, but you know they're lightweight. You can take them to the games. You guys can put them up high, you know. And like I said, if we get to 650 followers, I'm gonna be giving one out. We're at 612 right now, so it's looking pretty good. So a few more followers, guys. We'll do a little drawing and we'll get you scarves. But if you don't want to, you know, leave it up to chance, go to phnxlocker.com and purchase your own PHNX Rising scarf.
And of course, looking ahead to Friday's game, it's a convenient little clash of PHNX and Phoenix Rising, of course. Because the official watch party for Phoenix Rising is going to be held at the brewery of the official beer of PHNX.
That's right. So if you guys go to Four Peaks Brewing Company in Tempe, you guys can check out the official watch party with Phoenix Rising over there on Friday. Get some. I saw the specials there, man. I kind of want to go now just to see if I can get the Rising Lager over there and get some be part of some of these deals. But if you guys weren't aware, Four Peaks Brewing Company is the official beer of PHNX. So if you guys want to support not only Four Peaks Brewing Company but also us here at PHNX Rising, you guys can definitely check them out this Friday and also catch some Rising action. So I think you're just winning across the board if you go.
And remember, you can. Remember, you've got to have that Rising Lager because I can't, and I have to endure the thrill of Cashman Field.
You love it over there. It's like so bad you love it now.
I definitely do not.
What's the name of the Elvis, half Elvis impersonator?
Oh, Cash the Soccer Rocker. Yeah.
Oh man, as long as they don't have that tunnel again, I consider that a W.
Oh, the Colleen the Colon.
Oh my God, why'd you say the name?
Yeah. and to Michael's comment here, yeah, hopefully there is less sexism this time because, quite frankly, I think last game left us with a really bitter taste in our mouth, didn't it? So we'll get onto that, I'm sure, on Thursday. But hey,
lots to talk about on Thursday. All
right,
right, y'all.
Talk about on Thursday.
Always. Thank you guys for tuning in. Bobby, Rye, Peyton, Thomas. Let's see. I'm trying to find everybody. PHX, Rising Nation. I haven't seen him in a long time. Them in a long time. Let's see. Thomas. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. John McPherson, John Schultz. I feel like we always see a new comment here popping up each show. So I really appreciate that. And if you guys want to tell other Rising supporters to check us out, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m., usually 6 p.m., unless Owen doesn't want to. I'm just kidding. But yeah, happy to have you guys here. Always a good time with y'all. We will be back on Thursday night, 6 p.m. And then we'll do the post-game show on Friday live from Cashman Field. Owen will be reporting from there. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Owen, any last words?
I feel like that's just about it from me.
All right, y'all. Have a great night. Take care.